Today is Thursday, August 17th. What to know about a new court ruling that could put the abortion issue back before the U.S. Supreme Court this year. And more information about why there were no sirens as the Maui fires spread. Plus, a virtual Holocaust museum coming to a popular video game. Promising data about a recently added safety feature for NFL players. And it's already that time. Pumpkin spice is back. Those stories and more news to know coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. It looks like the U.S. Supreme Court is going to be taking up yet another case that could impact nearly all abortions that still happen in the U.S. This one would specifically be about mifepristone, which is more commonly referred to as the abortion pill. It's been on the market for 23 years and is the most common method for ending pregnancies, especially since in recent years, changes have allowed the drug to be given without an in-person doctor's visit. Mifepristone is also used for miscarriage management as well. Well, this week, a federal appeals court ruled it should not be prescribed past 7 weeks of pregnancy and that the pill should not be prescribed via telemedicine either. The court sided with a conservative Christian legal advocacy group who sued the FDA on behalf of individual doctors. They're arguing the FDA improperly approved the pill and then expanded access to it without fully considering potential safety concerns. On the other side, the Justice Department is defending the FDA, saying the pill's approval was supported by decades of research about the pill's effectiveness and safety, and major medical groups back that up too. Despite this week's ruling, the pills will stay on the market in states where abortion is legal and will continue to be available by telemedicine and mail, at least for now. And that's because the Supreme Court expected a drawn-out fight and decided in the spring to keep the status quo during the whole appeals process. And the Justice Department has already decided to appeal the latest ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court. So justices could decide to hear the case in the fall. Though if they decide not to, this latest ruling could stand. So, to be continued. A man who worked on the campaign to elect Congressman George Santos is now facing criminal charges over some of his fundraising methods. The aide apparently impersonated Speaker Kevin McCarthy's longtime chief of staff in fundraising emails and phone calls. And now he's being charged with wire fraud and identity theft. Speaker McCarthy has spoken about this before, saying when his office told Santos what was going on, the congressman fired that aide. Though prosecutors say the aide wrote a letter to Santos describing exactly what he was doing at the time. The case was filed by the same legal team that's also prosecuting Santos in a separate case that charges him with money laundering, wire fraud, and more. And federal prosecutors say the facts of the cases overlap. Both Santos and his former aide are pleading not guilty, though they haven't said anything else about the cases publicly. Remember, Santos is also accused of embezzling money from his campaign and cheating his way into undeserved unemployment checks. He also has admitted to lying about parts of his life story during his run for office. But at this point, he still says he did not commit any crimes and says he has no intention of leaving Congress. In fact, he's running for re-election. People who live in Maui are finally starting to see some signs of recovery more than a week after wildfires demolished parts of the Hawaiian island. Yesterday, traffic resumed on a major road, most public schools started to reopen, and FEMA opened its first disaster recovery center on Maui so people have somewhere to go to get information about assistance. Plus, more crews and donations have been arriving on the island to help. The fire is responsible for killing at least 110 people. And again, that death toll is expected to continue to rise since more than 1,000 are still considered missing. Meanwhile, many people are still criticizing the state government for not sounding sirens during the fire, saying many people were caught off guard by flames that were, at times, moving a mile a minute. But the head of the Maui Emergency Management Agency defended the siren decision yesterday. He says he and his team were worried that if sirens did go off, that people would move inland or up into the mountains. And in that case, they would have gone even further into the fire. He says really the sirens are meant to warn people about tsunamis and have never been used for wildfires. Beyond that, state and local officials have also faced criticism over shortages of available water to fight the fire and a chaotic evacuation effort. In response, Hawaii Governor Josh Green says mistakes were made, but that first responders did the best they could with the resources they had at the time. And there will be an official review of the decisions leading up to the disaster once the immediate response wraps up. Meteorologists are now keeping a close eye on a new tropical storm that's churning in the Pacific Ocean. It's expected to strengthen into a hurricane off the coast of Mexico. And then forecasters say it will likely weaken, but still bring heavy rain to Southern California starting this weekend. It's even possible the storm system Hilary actually does make direct landfall in Southern California, something that's only happened 2 other times, most recently in 1963. Under some forecast scenarios, Tropical Storm Hilary could bring a year's worth of rain to typically dry areas in just 2 to 3 days. And of course, that would cause some pretty extensive flooding and other issues. Then by early next week, the storm could move further inland into Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. Meteorologists say things could still change over the next few days, that something is definitely expected to happen on the West Coast. It's just not certain how strong the storm will be or its exact path. So they're asking that people pay close attention to the forecasts in the days ahead. We have more news for you still coming up, but first, a quick break for our sponsor, Miracle Made. Did you know that your temperature at night can have a huge impact on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding. My husband and I have them on our bed all summer long, and we are loving them. And by the way, that silver-infused fabric is not only great for thermoregulating, it also prevents up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, so they can be cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. Go to trymiracle.com/newsworthy to try Miracle Made sheets today. And if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo Newsworthy at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you aren't 100% satisfied, you will get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/newsworthy and use the code Newsworthy to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/newsworthy to treat yourself. A new measure meant to keep pro football players safe seems to be working pretty well. The NFL says the Guardian caps certain players have been wearing at preseason practices have been working. Those are padded coverings that go on the outside of regular NFL helmets, meant to help better prevent head injuries. And the league says so far this preseason, there have been 52% fewer concussions as compared to the same time period over the last 3 preseasons when the Guardian caps were not worn. So with that, the NFL says it's going to have even more players wear them, and they'll wear them longer into the preseason and at full contact practices during the regular season. Also starting this week, the NFL will expand testing of position-specific helmets. Quarterbacks will be getting their own version of what, up until now, only linemen have been wearing. Instead of extra padding on the forehead, the way linemen have it, the QBs will get extra protection on the back of the helmet where they typically have the most impact. Some NFL officials say they expect some kind of special new helmet will be used in regular season games within the next couple of years once they're fully studied. There's a new development in a story we brought you earlier this week about a police raid on a small-town Kansas newspaper that sparked national outrage. The co-owner of the Marion County Record says the items that were seized by police have since been returned, and the local prosecutor agreed to withdraw the search warrant. Originally, the warrant for the raid said it was issued over possible identity theft by reporters, pointing to allegations they acted illegally while chasing a story. But the paper's co-owner, and then many around the country, suspected it actually had to do with the reporters investigating the local police chief. Either way, the local prosecutor says after all the backlash, he revisited the case and decided there was not enough evidence for the search to have happened in the first place. Now, the Kansas Bureau of Investigation plans to continue investigating the Marion County Record over the identity theft allegations, but it will be without any of the evidence and devices that were seized last week. Well, there is a new Holocaust museum that opened up this week in an unusual place. It's actually in one of the world's most popular video games, Fortnite. Typically, the game is known for shooting battles and trendy dance moves, but that stuff is not allowed in the museum. Players can walk into the virtual building called the Voices of the Forgotten Museum. There, they can read plaques describing genocide against Jews in Nazi Germany and see photos of Jewish resistance fighters and other heroic people who sheltered Jews at the time. The game designer who built it with one of his colleagues told Axios, above all, he's hoping to raise awareness. He noted that hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent on real-life Holocaust museums, but that only 20% of Americans have actually visited one. He's hoping that will change since, at last count, Fortnite had 70 million users a month. It might feel like summer, but for a lot of people, it's starting to taste like fall. This week, Dunkin' launched its fall menu, complete with all the pumpkin spice coffees and coffee drinks. Krispy Kreme and 7-Eleven have also started offering pumpkin spice goodies, and many supermarkets, breweries, and bakeries are rolling out the harvest of pumpkin products as well. Starbucks has not announced a date for the return of the iconic pumpkin spice latte, but typically the PSL is back by the end of August, along with other new fall drinks. It's not hard to guess why so many stores, brands, and restaurants have jumped on the pumpkin spice trend. Data from Nielsen IQ shows shoppers have spent more than $800 million on pumpkin products over the last year alone. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, this episode is brought to you by Nutrafol. I've actually been using Nutrafol for almost 2 years now, so long before they became a sponsor. And I started because a good friend, as well as my own dermatologist, both recommended it to me when I was noticing some hair shedding a few months after giving birth. Well, I'm so glad they did. My doctor and I both noticed decreased shedding and improved hair growth after taking Nutrafol postpartum. It's a daily hair growth supplement OBGYN formulated for women in the first year after giving birth. And I really appreciated that I could take it while also breastfeeding. And because I've had such a good experience with it, I've now continued to take it and switched to Nutrafol Women to continue to improve hair growth and just support visibly thicker and healthier hair. No matter your life stage, Nutrafol has 4 unique formulas to support women. And I love that each one is physician formulated using 100% drug-free, medical-grade natural ingredients. So take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering the Newsworthy listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Newsworthy. So find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol, Nutrafol.com with the promo code Newsworthy. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code Newsworthy. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. Women's sports are booming in the U.S. and worldwide. This summer, they've been raking in new deals, partnerships, and lots of money and media coverage. Of course, there's the Women's World Cup that's now down to the final 2 teams, Spain and England. It's expected to generate $220 billion. Back home, the National Women's Soccer League will add new teams next year in Utah and San Jose. And for the second year in a row, the league's championship match will air in primetime on CBS. Then there's women's basketball. The WNBA is having its most-watched season in more than 20 years, and there's been some talk of the league expanding. The NCAA Women's Championship game also saw record viewership this year. In-person attendance has also gone up for several women's leagues and teams. Some advocates say what's changed is the people in charge have started seeing the value women bring to the table, that supporting women's sports is a good thing to do and is also profitable. Well, thank you so much for listening today. A quick reminder that if you get value out of the show, it really helps us out if you tell other people about it. Whether that's in person or text message, social media, or a review on your favorite podcast app. We really appreciate you helping to spread the word. You can also get some Newsworthy gear. Check out our shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, totes, stickers, cell phone cases, and more by going to thenewsworthy.com/merch. All right, we'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.